pick and roll with it. Make a pick and roll with it. Betting weekly. Fast break from coast to coast and way downtown. From coast to coast and way downtown. From coast to coast and way downtown. Make a pick and roll with it.
Welcome into the latest edition of Betting Weekly Fast Break. And what a game one of the NBA Finals we had last night. The Pacers did it again. Upset City and dramatic ending in another improbable comeback. We're going to break that down, look ahead to Sunday night's game two. Also, dive into some WNBA games both tonight and tomorrow. So welcome in on this Friday. I am Doug Kezirian alongside Albert Nguyen, also known as Analytics Capper, who's been red hot this week, both in hoops and baseball. Albert, have you recovered from last night? I haven't checked on Wes, our resident Hoosier, yet, but I wanted to at least do a wellness check on you, given we are live.
Oh my goodness, what a game for West last night. That's an unbelievable finish for Tyrese Halliburton, arguably the most clutch season in the NBA history. I think he's 13 and 15 in situations like last night, game winning or game tying shots in the fourth quarter in overtime or regulation in both the regular season and the playoffs. 13 for 15. That is absurd. But I'm doing great. I sat really pretty last night. I was on the Thunder first half, which cashed really easily. And then Pacers full game plus 10 is what I got it at. And obviously they won outright. My series bet though, Doug, full transparency, Thunder minus 2.5. Not looking good right now, but it is what it is. I'll take 2-1 any day of the week.
Yeah, we did well on the show. I was involved in props. I did like the minus 2.5. Excuse me, I liked under 5.5 games, but I'm really more disappointed because I was hoping the Thunder would be up 2-0 heading back to Indiana, and I thought it'd be an outcome like we saw in Game 3 against the West in Minnesota against the Western Conference Finals. But great comeback. The line did feel high. I thought the Thunder would win in 5 games, but the Pacers would cover 3 of those 5. And well, half right. Pacers have covered the first game, but really dramatic, crazy. I think if there's a coaching issue in OKC, we knew the matchup favored the coaching edge to Indiana, but I didn't think it'd be this drastic. But there's been an adjustment in the series price. Naturally, you were over 700. Now we're looking at minus 345 for the Thunder. Still sizable favorites. Pacers now technically have home court for now. And you got a tax in game 2 at minus 11. Let's talk about the series price. And at some point, we got to take the Pacers seriously, right? Now, it could be construed as fluky, but they stayed attached in this game. It was 15 was the most. Never got to 20-25. Now, granted, the Pacers probably going to come back from that as well because they have in the past. But I felt I saw a lot, and that's the scary part moving forward for OKC. Indiana didn't even play well. That was the issue. I mean, you look at some of these stats, Albert. 24-7 was the gap. Sorry, 25-7 turnovers. Pacers had 25 turnovers. Thunder had 7. Thunder had 14 steals. Indiana had 1. These are stats that overwhelmingly suggest blowout, at least a double-digit win. But that was the case until it wasn't. How do you look at the Pacers now after last game?
Yeah, it was a very strange anomaly last night. If you look at the statistics, I mean, the Pacers had, I believe, 19 first half turnovers, but they were only down 12. So if you look at any of the other numbers, and I posted it on X, they were actually leading the game in threes made. They had more rebounds. They had more assists. They had more fast breaks points, which is crazy if you think about, giving away 19 turnovers, and the majority of that were live ball turnovers. So they were actually getting back on defense great after turning the ball over. Even though OKC was up 12, and I know people are not going to believe me when I say this, they actually weren't playing that well. They were up 12 mostly because of those turnovers. And it's not because, they were humming on offense. They were getting to the line, which Shea always does. But Pacers kept it close. And the guy that really no one's really talking about today because, Nembhard played great. Neesmith, obviously Halliburton's game winner, Miles Turner. But it was TJ McConnell. I think he started the game out 4 for 4, and he kept them attached in that first half, which was really important. He ended up having a pretty bad second half, but all that is moot because he had a good first half. The interesting thing I think you mentioned are the OKC Thunder, who were the number 1 team in the NBA, 68 wins. Are they out thinking what they need to do? They made the quick change of the starting lineup, taking out Isaiah Hartenstein, putting in Cason Wallace. Cason Wallace ended up being a -13. That is terrible. You don't want to mess up the consistency, the cohesiveness, the vibes that you have right already with Isaiah Hartenstein out there. So maybe they did a little overthinking. We'll see what they do in game 2. But the cool thing, Doug, is it still can go 5, right? Let's not take the surprise away from OKC. Still can potentially win the next 4. Obviously, none of us believe that now, but it's I wouldn't be far-fetched. It's very similar. It's happened before in the finals. I'll say that. Jordan lost his first game against Magic,
Lakers,
won the next 4 games. Yeah. Thunder and Heat, that went 5 games, even though it seemed like it was going to go further. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe my -2.5 series bet is not dead yet, but man, you got to give all the credit to the Pacers. Did you feel that was more Pacers winning it or Thunder losing it?
I think the Thunder lost it with the head coach. I blame him completely. Decisions should not be binary or evaluated in a binary way. Like even if the Thunder held on and won the game, I still think he got out coached. And you literally gave away your biggest advantage. The Pacers are not good on the boards. We had Wes on the show yesterday saying he's worried about it. They out rebounded the Thunder 56-39.
Yep.
That's gross. They had 13 offensive rebounds, the most they've had the entire postseason. And you take out your best rebounder in Hartenstein and then start and you played Cason Wallace 33 minutes, tied for the most he's played in this postseason. He was the one guarding Halliburton. What are you doing? You're the gold standard of the NBA this season. Why are you bending first? The Mavs did that to the Warriors in the We Believe Golden State Warriors with Baron Davis. They caved like game 3 or game 2 or something. This knucklehead does it the first game. Now, I know Carlisle is an excellent coach, and he's 25 years older than Mark Daigneault. So he's going to have more experience. I get it. But what are you doing? It was so stupid. And maybe the pundits would have praised him. Oh, he's leaning into his versatility. That's the depth that they have if they had hung on. But I think his coaching prevented them from leading by 25 points. I think he's a clown. He showed it in game 1 against the Nuggets. He's overcoached too much.
I think that's the important point that people are not making, Doug. It's not the end of the game, because obviously that was great stuff by Nembhard making that 3 over Shea, and then Tyrese's game winner. But it was that point that people are missing. That game should have been 30 points. Okay, should have been up by 25-30, and then that comeback would have been much, much harder to happen. And it's funny you mentioned Rick Carlisle. Sorry for cutting you off, Doug, but there's been 2. I think actually there's been 3 fourth quarter comebacks of 15 points or greater, and Rick Carlisle was the coach for 2 of them: Mavericks in 2011 and the Pacers last night. So props to Rick Carlisle. Experience is something that's invaluable, and the beauty of the Pacers, and you and I have been harping on this for several weeks now, they are more than just a run and gun team. They can play physical. They can slow it down. And then obviously with Tyrese's season right now, 13 for 15 in these clutch situations, they have the guy that can close the game. So, I mean, it's awesome to watch. I know the narrative or the talk heading into the series was ratings, but this is amazing basketball. It's been amazing cinema. I hope it goes at least 7 games.
So let's break it down now. So now we got a glimpse of what the Pacers can do against this Thunder team. Stay attached. It was a little bit fluky, but it wasn't. at some point we have to take these Pacers a little bit more seriously in these NBA finals is now the point. Do you even like them plus 265? Like, is there a series price or something here with the series spread? I know you said you're still holding out hope for your minus 2.5, but is there value backing the Pacers? I actually think over 5.5 right now, games minus 286 is a really good bet. I think that's a silly alternate line in the games played. So at Bet Rivers, you can bet over 5.5 minus 286. I think that's a really good bet.
I think it's a very easy answer. You say, is there value on the Pacers right now? So I wholeheartedly 100% believe that the Thunder will win game 2. So if you believe in the Pacers, then wait until after game 2, heading back home to game 3 is when you want to back the Pacers, because then you're going to get what, plus 350, maybe even plus 400. So you'll get way better value as opposed to reacting to what happened last night and them being up 1-0. If they go up 2-0, then it is what it is, right? You don't have to bet that at that point because the Pacers might be favored. But I do think the Thunder will come back and bounce back and win game 2. Not saying they're going to cover, but that's when you want to buy the Pacers stock because that's where you're going to get a much better number.
Now, I mean, Pacers didn't play well at all in a lot of ways. You don't think there's a chance that they play out of their mind? Because remember, they stole game 2 in Cleveland as well. And after everyone wrote them off, and they won game 2 in New York, right? They went up 2-0 in the Knicks. So they've gone up 2-0 on the road in back-to-back series.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance, right? There's always a chance. This is more of backing the number 1 seed. This is more, okay, OKC, stop your BS, stop the overthinking. Ride Shea and those guys, play Isaiah Hartenstein, right? He ended up only playing 17 minutes, Doug, and still had 9 rebounds. He is a rebounding machine for that team. And when they play that small ball lineup for speed, they're undersized. It's not like Pascal Siakam is not all of 6'10". He's going to be able to, post up any of your wings. And having Jalen Williams having to guard either Miles Turner or Pascal is asking a lot, even though J-Dub is very talented. That's still giving up 4 to 5 inches every single possession. That's a lot. So I would say play Isaiah. Hopefully, they got there with Isaiah and Chet. So I would just make the move back. And I mentioned earlier, Kayson started and ended up minus 13 plus box minus. So that's not very good at all.
It's literally one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And I know that's hyperbole, but if you were to ask Rick Carlisle, which move would you like the Thunder to do for the starting lineup in game 1? He'd say, take Hartenstein out. I mean, that's literally what you're doing to help the other team. So bonehead. I haven't read enough to see what his line of thinking was, but basically he wasn't thinking.
And not only that, Doug, taking Hartenstein is one thing, but then putting in Cason Wallace is another thing. So it's 2 decisions there. It's not just the moving one guy out. They could have added Caruso for more defense. They could have added, Wiggins for more size. Like, it was a very perplexing 2 moves, right? And that's what made it the biggest deal. I would say give props out to Obi Toppin. I think he played the best out of any of the Pacers last night. Off the bench, I think he had 17 points. Let me confirm here. Obi Toppin, 17 points, 5 for 8 from 3, 2 assists. I've never seen him have 2 assists in my entire life. So Obi Toppin, props to him. I don't know if he could sustain 5 for 8 from 3, but we've seen these Pacers just shoot out of their minds. Again, game 1, they outshot the Thunder 18 threes to 11 threes. That's 21 point differential, right? That's going to win you the game, even though you're turning the ball.
The threes were key for Indiana and the rebounds, those 2 things for sure. Let's talk about game 2. You mentioned that you think they're going to handle their business. Well, you have to pay a tax if you want to lay the game line. 11 is the point spread. The over-under has come down to 228, but from the game 1, but it was as low as 227 last night, right after game 1. So side total, what's your early read here?
I actually don't like that minus 11. I think too many people are going to expect to bounce back, but I do think the Pacers are going to be able to take care of the ball a little more focus on ball security. A lot of those turnovers were flukes. They would grab the defensive rebound and then the guy would, knock the ball out. Now, guys like Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam, I would assume they know to keep the ball up. after they rebound. So I actually like the over because I think the Pacers are going to push their will and push the pace on the game more. But I do think the Thunder, so the over, and most likely it's correlated. If it's an over game, I do like the Pacers to cover. But I'm going to make one official play on this, and it's kind of counterintuitive to everything I was just saying, but I do think the Thunder come out early. I rolled this in game 1. I like the Thunder first half. I'm going to like them again in game 2. So give me the Thunder first half. It's -7.5, -8, depending on what you're looking at.
Okay, so that's a beefy number, especially if the Pacers cut back on their turnovers.
Yep.
But we'll give you that first half. So Bet Rivers right now it's 7.5. So a nice number there in terms of the market. And basically what Albert's saying, and we got to remember this, going back to like it really got crystallized during the Alabama days of football with Tua, is that the betting market formulates the first half that's commensurate with the game line. So if the game line's 11, first half on any NBA game is about 7.5. And then the first quarter line similarly. But if there's an angle where you think skews an edge, the betting market doesn't adjust unless it's a rare situation, and they're not doing it here. So if you think there's line value with the urgency of the Thunder, the desperation, down 1-0, and maybe a little bit of complacency with Indiana, although they've demonstrated the last 2 rounds, they don't really come out flat after winning game 1 on the road, then there's extreme line value. And then you don't have the nonsense at the end of the game like we do in so many sort of blowout situations with the chucking of threes, bench players. So that's always something to consider in any sport, right? Hockey, you pull goalies. So that's I can get behind that. I would get involved with the Thunder first half if I played this game. That's what I would be playing. I like props instead, but I can see that. So I support that. And so you like the over a little bit.
I do like the over. I think obviously the turnovers are going to go down, and I think the Thunder shooting is going to improve. Like I said, they were outshot in game 1. I think they're going to shoot a lot better. The other thing I wanted to stay away is the Pacers in the second half. It's no longer fluky, guys. This is a great second half team. Like they've done this not only throughout the postseason, but they've done this since the new year, right? They had the 4th best record since January 1st. A lot of that were second half comebacks. This is what they do, and it all starts from their coaching and Rick Carlisle and Tyrese Halliburton. So I'm just going to stay away from that. I also think if it becomes a close-ish game, Doug, 8 points or 10 points in that 4th quarter, you're going to hear a pin drop in that stadium, right, in that arena, because the pressure is going to be so crazy. I'm going to stay away from that and just bet the first half. Again, I think OKC, even though they were up by 12 in that first half, actually did not play well. They didn't shoot the ball well. They were just taking advantage of Indiana turning the ball over. So I think they're going to have a more full, complete game, and hopefully they're not going to change the lineup and take out, I don't know, Jalen Williams or someone in that first half, because that'd be crazy.
I think the prop bets are really interesting because of what Dagno, however you pronounce it. I apologize to him. I don't mean any disrespect. I just butchering it. I've actually heard it different ways. That's probably why I butcher it. Because of that move, and then the speculation and sort of guesswork that we have to do as bettors in terms of that starting lineup on Sunday night for game 2, I think it makes the prop bets really interesting. And there's obviously a reaction if you're odds makers. If he didn't start Hartenstein in game 1, and Chet Holmgren, I was under 9.5 yesterday. The market's now gone to 8.5. I still like under. He's gone under all 5 games of the East Western Conference Finals, and then game 1, of course. I think he's flimsy out there. I think the Pacers play with an edge. And Hartenstein, now I'm assuming, is going to start. I think 6.5 is way low for Hartenstein. I know you're on this one.
That's a weird number. Why do you think it's so low? You would expect, even if he doesn't start, he's going to play more than his 17 minutes in the first game.
Maybe they don't think he'll budge because they led the entire game, right? The first lead of the game for Indiana was on Halliburton's shot with 0.3 seconds left. Maybe they think that is the recipe. You just got to protect the double-digit lead late.
That's a good point. The other thing I wanted to look into is, like, we all saw the turnover conversation in that first game, 19 in the first half. So I was looking at turnover props, Doug, and even then I felt like the books, if you look at it right now, I think the books have adjusted because all the numbers are really low. Because I was seeing if I could get the regression back to a normal game, because the Pacers historically, especially with Tyrese Halliburton, they take care of the ball really well. So that game one was a super anomaly in terms of turnovers. And so I was seeing if I could get some unders, but they're all like, half or 1.5. And I stayed away from that.
Okay, so in terms of the props on the board right now that you like, I'm doing a full unit on Hartenstein over 6.5 minus 120. 6.5 board just feels too low. If I lose, I lose. I don't care. It wasn't fluky. He's the best rebounder in the game for both teams. I'm also going to play Holmgren with the usual half unit on the under. I've been doing it, frankly, 5-6 straight games, so I'm going to keep pressing. I mean, look, he's 7-1 listed at 208. I think it's 200 dripping wet. On offense, he hangs out in the perimeter, stretches the opposing team's defense. He's not a guy that you want crashing the boards. He plays hard. I get it. But maybe there's a blowout, too. If there's a rout, he might sit the last 6 minutes. Now, it has to be a real big route for them to trust a lead like that to play the reserves. But Carlisle can also send in his reserves, and we'll see. But I just think there's a lot more ways to win on the under than the over, especially if I think Hartenstein's back in the starting lineup. Frankly, I'd bring Holmgren off the bench.
I agree. I think this is a pattern that actually you've talked about now for several weeks. Is like you don't believe in Holmgren's ability to just play tough, right? Like he was basically played out of the gym when it comes to guarding Jokic. So then they put him on the perimeter. They haven't really changed. The other guy I wanted to point out is Alex Caruso. I mentioned him heading into game one. I think he continues to play really well. Not only points, rebounds, assists, but all the other stuff, all the energy stuff, stocks. I think he had 5 stocks in game one. He's, to me, their most versatile defender, and I think he's going to even get more minutes as this series goes on. He had 28 minutes in game one with a +2, 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He does everything. 1 for 4 from 3. He did miss a couple corner 3-pointers there that he normally makes, but I just like how the energy he brings, and he to me, playing 28 minutes, he's kind of one of the guys that is the glue that puts everything together. And I think he needs to play, 30 minutes moving forward.
I'll tell you who's not is the coach of the Thunder, who's just botching a lot of things. He's not the glue. Yeah. But obviously SGA out there has just been phenomenal. And I said it was getting cheap at his MVP price. Now the market for MVP is just like 20 cents less than what the Thunder series price is. And that's what it should be. Like no one else is going to win the MVP for the Thunder if they win the series. I know people got enamored with 15-1 on Jalen Williams. It's just not happening. It's just not. Now the Pacers have a sort of two-headed monster, but I was stunned that Siakam won last round. I just was. With the ball in Halliburton's hands, I think this is a point guard series, and one of the point guards is going to win MVP. Now, so those are the only 2 props I'm playing. I did like a few others. I just think with the blowout potential here, the 3-pointers, Holmgren under 1.5. The market's adjusting at Bet Rivers. Under 1.5 made threes is -215. He looks kind of lost out there. He's a young guy. I get it. Pacers played harder in a lot of ways. Holmgren missed. I think he only had 1 3-point attempt. It's a good spot to back maybe some overs for Thunder players, but I don't think Holmgren's the guy you want to do that with. What about the 3-pointers? I mean, Dort had 5. How would you play his threes?
Definitely under on Dort. I mean, he started off the game on
Really?
fire in that first quarter. I think he hit every player prop in the first 4 minutes that was on him. I don't know if that's sustainable, but I do expect this team to shoot better. They ended up only 11 for 30 from 3. They need to take closer to 40, 45 3-point shots. That's their OKC Thunder basketball. So even though I would lean the under there, I assume the Thunder, again, it's a lot of assumption, right? But I would assume the number 1 seed overall in this playoffs to, get back to their secret sauce, right? And that's playing Thunder basketball and then getting their role players to hit a ton of threes. Guys like Isaiah Joe and Wiggins, even I mentioned Caruso, like those guys, when they're hitting 1 to 2 threes each, that's when the barrage of Thunder threes really dominate your game. So we'll see. To answer your question, I would say the under on the Dort threes. He played really, really well early, but
it's juicy -167. And he doesn't kind of read the room. He'll shoot, even though there's a guy he should keep passing to a guy in the short corner 3 who's wide open. He'll shoot it instead.
Yeah, there was one time where he pump faked the three and then still ended up shooting the three. That's like, my middle school basketball coach would never let me do that. So he definitely doesn't care who's around him, who's guarding him. But I agree with you in terms of Holmgren and Dort. I would actually fade those, even though they're juicy. Um, I think maybe Jalen Williams is going to shoot better than 1 for 4. I don't know. It's a collective team effort. This team needs to make at least 15 threes to win game 2. So I fully expect that.
I think Pacer. I don't want to dismiss the Thunder because again they led nearly the entire game, but I do think there's a swagger and a confidence the Pacers have that let's say on a 1 to 10 they're at like 9. I think the Thunder are just a notch lower, like 8, 7.5. I do think there's some inexperience there, even though they have Caruso who won a title in the bubble. I just think there's a confidence that Indiana has because of their coach and the talent and Halliburton's heroics. And they know still in every game because they've done it before many times. But I do think they're a little wet behind the ears. I do think, and they need SGA. And I give them credit. They were down in the fourth quarter in game 4 against Denver on the road in altitude, down 2-1 in the series. And they came back and pulled out a game. And the closeout game against the T-Wolves was incredible. Some of the passing and the game 4 where they went up 3-1. But I still think this team, there's some fragility there.
I agree with you, but let's not overreact to game 1, right? Like you said, they were up the majority of the game, and I think if you simulate that game 100 times, they win 98 of those times, right? So again, they weren't going to cover just because the Indiana Pacers just play fourth quarter so well. They play more free. It allows Nembhard and Neesmith just to shoot threes, and if they're hitting them, they're going to be able to cover. So OKC was not covering that game last night, but I thought for sure they were going to win it. Just like if they come out in game 2, Doug, and they dominate and win by 30, I wouldn't react there as well. Like I think heading back to Indiana's 1-1 is already a huge win for the Pacers against the number 1 seed, like I said. And the Thunder, if you look at their against the spread record in the playoffs, they've actually been really dominant at home. It's the road where they've been struggling. So the fact that they already got one in OKC is a huge deal for the Pacers.
Okay. All right. So just those props, and we'll recap best bets at the end of the show. But let's shift gears to the WNBA, which, they always manage to kind of have dark day. It's kind of crazy. They go opposite the NBA finals, things like that. But hey, all tickets cash the same. We have 2 games tonight. Of the 4 teams, 3 are the worst in the entire league. So some barn burners, but that's the beauty of the point spread, right? The great equalizer. And we'll start with the near. Is it a double-digit spread yet? I'm checking real quick. Yeah, it is 10.5. So the Atlanta Dream are 10.5-point road favorites of the Connecticut Sun. And the last time we saw the Sun, they lost by 48 against the Liberty. Bit of a flat spot, I would say, coming off their first win of the season when they took down the Fever on the road. And now they're 10.5-point home dogs. And we also have the Sparks minus 1.5. No Paige Beckers for the Dallas Wings, who are home underdogs. Let's start with the Dream Sun game. Now, that lines up to 3, excuse me. So Dream crushed the Sun the last game, and they were even without Brittany Griner. Atlanta's been one of the more pleasant surprises this year. And I actually like the Sun first quarter money line plus 200. I think it's a great spot. I think Dream are coming in fat and happy. You get plus 195 here. I think it's a variance game. I wouldn't take the 3.5 points, although that's a lot when your over-unders around 40 for a quarter. I'd rather take the money line, and I'm just doing a quarter unit play because I think the Sun jump on them, and they have enough players. It's just they're limited, but I don't think the Dream play good enough D to shut down Marina Mabry, and because she's slow, and some teams who know how to defend her can really shut her down, but the Dream don't because they don't play defense.
Yeah, I actually like that look a lot. I don't know how much in terms of units I'm going to do it, but this is a great buy low spot for the Sun. I mean, not only are they a 1-6 overall in the season, but they're 0-3 at home, 0-3 against the spread. They've gotten blown out. This is a good opportunity. Again, this is a situational spot for the Sun. So I like the first quarter, and I like that you're only touching the first quarter because when you look at the full game, obviously the superior team is going to take over. I have no personal bet. I'm most likely going to pass on this game. I do have a smaller look on the second game, but I'm rooting for you. I do like that spot. Just like we did the baseball games or baseball podcast yesterday, and I thought the Athletics, even though they were 1-21 in their last 22, I thought it was a good buy low spot, and I have the same kind of feelings with the Sun tonight.
A game I really like, and by the way, the Dream are good. I mean, Ryan Howard's former Rookie of the Year. She hasn't quite got it together in the last couple seasons. She's got some Carmelo Anthony in her game, but her ceiling's pretty high. And then I love Alicia Gray, and then both bigs for the Dream with Brianna Jones and Griner. They're formidable, but I think they're going to come in a little flat. I think it's a good spot. Now, you mentioned the game line. You're right, especially a Commissioner's Cup game. I think the Valkyries had a lead with like 4 minutes to go last night, and the Mercury closed on like an 18-1 run or something to cover the 7. Just a remarkable bad beat if you were on the Valkyries and the points. So I don't want to get involved. I do think the Sun are bad, and they're limited. And I'm not sure what Tina Charles can do against Griner or Jones, but I think first quarter money line again, not plus 3.5. We'll know early if they're here, but I think the Sun are gonna bring it after losing by 48. Now I do love a prop in this game, and that's Marina Mabry over 18.5 points plus assists at minus 118. So Mabry's a sharpshooter. She stretches the defense like no other, but she's not fast. But she keeps players off balance. I think she's going to be on a heater. She had a really bad game in her last game. Really bad game last time she faced Atlanta, and she missed a couple wide open bunnies, and there's no even Griner to protect the rim, so to speak. So I think Mabry's going to bounce back. She's fiery, a huge competitor, and I like throwing the assist in there because if she starts getting attention when she's heating up, she'll dish it, and I think there'll be open jumpers for her teammates. So I think it's a good sort of regression bounce back spot for Mabry in more ways than one.
Yeah, fiery competitor are understatements when it comes to Marina. Like, she is definitely going to come out and take this opportunity personal, right? I think this is a good spot. Do you think that's too much in terms of backing that team or side because you're going to be on the first quarter on the team as well as, one of their star players?
Yeah, it is, but they have to go through her, and I don't think Tina Charles could do much on Griner and Brianna Jones. I think it's going to be Mabry, and she's going to like draw fouls and stuff like that. I think now it is a Commissioner's Cup game, but I still think Atlanta's going to go through the motions a little bit. They just beat the brakes off them. The Sun are bad and real bad, but I think Mabry's going to get her. She'll get her 15, 17 shots. She'll go to the line. She'll get some assists. She's going to play a lot. As long as it's not a blowout and she sits the whole fourth quarter, I think we're fine. But she played to the end in the last game. It was even making free throws. So I think this is a good play. I really do. Now, you're right. Like, the variance, and probably should be getting more than plus 195 if I'm going to get involved in the first quarter money line. But look, man, like, teams come out flat. Like, the Lynx beat the brakes off the Mercury or someone the other night, and they were down after the first quarter. Like, there's a lot of kind of crazy variance in the first quarter in this league. It's a fair question, but it's a fair question. Let's go to the other game tonight, and the Sparks are now up to 3-point road favorites, given Paige Beckers, who was supposed to miss only 2 games with a concussion. This will be her 3rd game. She's officially out now. To be fair, it was at least 2 games. No word on how she sustained the injury, but Sparks are 3-point road favorites here. Dallas really limited. My feelings about Arika Gumbawale. I think she's a gunner. I did think she played somewhat within herself. I think the new coach is getting her to rein it in a little bit. Even without Beckers, I would think that the shots would be crazy, early and often. But I think they're playing within the system. I just don't think they're very talented at all.
Yeah, even though Paige is out tonight, I did see that she practiced. So hopefully she'll be back in the next game. I actually lean the Wings here. I think it's a good value in terms of home underdog. They're both terrible teams. And I know a lot of the steam right now towards the Sparks is because of that move with Beckers, right? I think she was questionable. She's officially out. So it started, I think it was minus 1.5. Now it's steamed up to 3. I think there's value on the Wings, especially if you get 3.5, if you wait until tip off. But I think my favorite play here, and I think I'm going to make it official, Doug, is the over, right? I mean, when you look at Wings game, you look at the overs. I was looking potentially maybe a Sparks team total over, but if I like the Wings, if I lean the Wings on the side in terms of the spread, I would expect them to be scoring a ton as well. So I like the over 174. It's moved up a couple points, but I'm still comfortable going the over here because I do think not only bad defense on both sides, but I think we're gonna get some actually good shooting, whether it's Enrique or someone from the wings. I think we're gonna get a couple players hit a few threes.
And the Sparks don't play a ton of D either. In fact, they play no D, and so do the Wings. So, like, one team could get to 100 in this game. So, that would be the only side I would play this, especially if this Dallas coach is not playing Tierra McCowan, who's a force. I think she's 6'7" or something, 6'5". I don't know why she's not playing after starting last season, but that's a conversation for another day. Just a reminder, awesome content in the newsletter just came out today. You can sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. Tons of breakdowns of soccer, tennis, obviously with the French Open going on right now. Links to these shows here on the Bet Rivers Network, and a bunch of odds, several pages, and the odds from Bet Rivers, of course. And I mentioned tennis. Go check out Betting Weekly Game Bet Match tomorrow. Nigel and Sean Calvert will preview the French Open finals. Final, I should say. Alcaraz is in there. Albert, I know you're a big tennis bettor as well, and handicapper. Do you have an opinion yet on that men's final?
Yeah, so Sinner's up 2-0 right now against Djokovic. He's probably going to finish it in 3. Both guys are going to be very, very well rested into that finals. Alcaraz, if you think about these two, he's 1 year younger, and this is the surface that would even them out a lot more. But I'm just gonna pick Sinner, man. I think Sinner is a robot. He's a machine. He doesn't make any errors, and I'm just gonna ride him. I don't think he's lost a set this entire campaign, and I don't expect him to lose a set, even in the finals, even against Carlos Alcaraz.
All right, and go check out the full show, although Albert gave you a great breakdown there. If it is, in fact, that matchup, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, right here on the Bet Rivers Network and part of the Betting Weekly umbrella. And I should mention, we're wrapping up another week here for Betting Weekly Fast Break. It's Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And then we also do Betting Weekly Hardball, which also launched on the same day in May. And that is Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Every day breaking down the cards. And, as you know, we're going to look at the WNBA as well. And let's one final game in the W I want to touch on, because there is a high profile game tomorrow, although Caitlin Clark's still out for the Indiana Fever. So we don't get her matched up with Angel Reese and the Sky, but the Fever are favored in that game, and it is in Chicago. Fever are 5-point road favorites at Bet Rivers. 168.5 is the total. For me, I'm fading this Fever team. I think they caught a break with Sydney Colson starting, and then getting Ari McDonald from Arizona. She had a great Final Four when she played in college. She was a free agent. And this league, I think you just need fast point guards. And Stephanie White, the head coach of Indiana, was foolishly running the offense through Sophie Cunningham, who's slow. Now she's since been hurt. But all you need is an Ari McDonald to break down the defense, because they're so quick. They can get to the rim. There's so much help defense, and that just frees up everyone around. Now, they got the win against the Mystics on the road and covered. But Washington shot just 1 of 10 from 3. They were missing wide open jumpers. I think the Sky, as bad as they are, I think Ariel Atkins is emerging. They'll have Cardoso down low. Angel Reese is Angel Reese. But I would lean +5, but it's not an official play.
I would say without Caitlin Clark, the Fever are a mediocre team. Chicago, to me, is a bad team, even with those guys. With those players you mentioned. I'm gonna go the under here. I think what Indiana figured out, and hopefully they figured out, but the game script without Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark is so good, not only shooting and scoring the basketball, but the way that she can draw defenders and then dish it off. Like, they're not going to get those easy shots anymore. So in my opinion, for the Indiana Fever to be competitive and win these games, they actually need to slow it down. And I think slowing it down is going to be, it's going to, decrease the amount of variance when it comes to turnovers and threes and free throws and things like that, just less possessions. And slowing it down is also Chicago style, right? They're not going to shoot very well, a ton of rebounds. So I like the under here is my play. So the over tonight in the Dallas game, and then the under tomorrow night in the Indiana-Chicago game are my two plays.
Any concern with the Commissioner Cup component, how they kind of point differential matters, maybe end of the game, stuff like that?
Definitely, man. Definitely. So maybe a first half is a stronger look, but Commissioner's Cup, that's a great question. And that's additional research I need to dive into, because I want to see what the numbers are, games that are part of the cup and then games that are not. That's a good question.
All right, so let's recap our best bets that we are officially on, and we'll keep it in the W for now. I'm going to go quarter unit Suns first quarter money line at Bet Rivers. Current price is plus 195. And then I'm going to do the usual half unit on Marina Mabry over 18.5 points plus assists minus 113. So those are my two W plays. You're on the over for Wings Sparks. Are you going to also get officially involved with the under with the Fever in the Sky?
Yep, official on both, 1 unit on
Okay.
both. Yep.
All right. And in terms of game 2 of the NBA Finals Tuesday night, I'm going to go Holmgren, usual, half unit Holmgren under 8.5 boards at minus 108. And then I'll go a full unit, so double whammy on Hartenstein over 6.5 boards at minus 120. What about you? I know you got the first half going on at 7.5 minus 110, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the first half. I would say the other, if you want to do kind of like a sprinkle, I would do double Isaiah Hartenstein, because I think the narrative there is right there, Doug. Is, oh, I messed up in game 1. I'm gonna put him back in the lineup, and then he's gonna have a huge game. I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a 15-15 type game in game 2.
Wow. So you like his points as well, and a big day on the board. So I know you flirted with the over in the game or first half in game 2 of the finals. Any official play there?
That's a strong lean. I would,
Okay.
if I play the over there, it would most likely be the first half, not the full game, because I think things are going to slow down in that fourth quarter, especially. But yeah, let's just do it. Let's do 4 official plays. So two in the W, and then 2 game 2 of the NBA Finals, first half over and first half Thunder.
All right, the first half total 111.5. All right, that'll do it for this show and this week. So we appreciate everyone, and don't forget to get involved in the conversation on our YouTube channel. We'll answer your questions live, and don't be strangers on there. Let us know picks you like, questions you have about certain wagers. We'll break it all down. Albert, good stuff as always. I'm going to see you next week in Vegas, right?
Yes, I'll see you on Wednesday.
Awesome, looking forward to that. So for Albert Nguyen and everyone behind the scenes who makes everything look good, not us, them, producing, researching, and graphically. So we appreciate everyone. I'm Doug Kezirian. We'll see you back here Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern for Betting Weekly Fast Break. Enjoy your weekend and good luck as well.